Hey guys, welcome back to Bustin Experience. I have an awesome show for you guys today. We have a great conversation ahead of us. But before we do that, I want to give a shout out to the sponsor, which is Hebrews Coffee Smoother. Guys, you guys got to try this stuff. This stuff is amazing. If you're a coffee drinker and you don't like the acid, it gives you problems with acid, reflux, indigestion, all that stuff. You just put a little bit of that in there. It will taste so smooth, so sweet. You won't have any problems. It is amazing. You got to try it. Go to www.hebrewscoffeesmoother.com and make sure you put that promo code in, circle back, and you will get 50% off on your coffee. So check them out, guys. www.hebrewscoffeesmoother.com. All right, we have a guest. I will let you introduce yourself because I think that would be more impactful. So, Who are you?
I am Christine Quinn.
Ooh, Christine Quinn. Why does that name sound familiar? Can you tell us who you are?
Because I ran for U.S. Congress here in the 14th, well, we're in Polk County, so I ran in Hillsborough County, 14th District against the ugly Kelly Castor.
Kelly Castor. Wow. Kathy Castor. Kathy, you're right. Kathy Castor. So awesome to have you on. How you doing?
Very good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
I'm doing well. And of course, I'm sorry, don't let me forget Jason. Jason, this is your third time. You were making this a habit now at this point.
Yeah,
all right?
Absolutely.
Maybe I got to get you on a payroll or something at this point.
He's just circling back.
He's just there you go. You're just circling back. So you had quite a day today, right? Didn't you have a rally of some sort today?
We did. We were down in Bradenton with General Mike Flynn. Roger Stone was there. We had the MAGA rappers, Forgy Auto Blow, Rocky and JC360 and their newest edition, Savannah. So it was pretty fun.
That's awesome.
They had the Proud Boys actually did show up. And
Proud Boys showed up. That's awesome.
Yeah. So and they're under, I guess, like federal investigation right now, and they've done nothing wrong. Mm-hmm. You know what I think is really interesting about the Proud Boys is that everyone talks about the Proud Boys as being some white supremacists.
Yeah.
Have you seen a picture of them?
Mm-hmm.
Like the guy that's the leader, he's Hispanic.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Like 15 of the other guys are all black and white. You know, I just think this is crazy. It's just the name stands for itself. Proud Boys. They're proud to be Americans, and they don't care what color they are. Mm-hmm. There's no white supremacist here, guys.
Yeah.
It's just, you get this fallacy out there, and you get this. They think if they're going to throw enough mud at the wall, something is going to stick. Yeah. Right.
Absolutely.
Hey, ain't nothing going to stick because these boys are proud to be Americans.
Exactly.
So, it was kind of nice to meet them. That's the first time I really got to meet the Proud Boys. I've seen them.
Sorry about that, guys. We had some technical difficulties, but you were talking about the Proud Boys and how you got to see them. So go ahead, finish your thought. I know it kind of just makes everything jarred, but that's okay. We'll recover. So
that's okay. Things happen. It's but I was really glad that to meet them for the first time. They're a great bunch of guys, and really they're true patriots, and they're all about keeping America free. And it's about America first. So they were great. Absolutely. And then it was great to meet General Michael Flynn. More personally, I've met him before, of course, out on the trail where you get to take a picture and say hi. But now we got to talk, and he's just a great man and true patriot.
That's awesome.
And what's really cool is that he's been married to his wife since they've known each other since they were 13 years old.
And that's crazy. That's a long time. Right? Yeah, me and my wife since I was 19. So, can't say the story quite like that, but
it's 6 years different.
6 years,
That's right. And then when you're in your 60s, then I think he's 62. Yeah, I'm 61 this year. He's a year older than me. So
gotcha.
Hey, we're still ticking. We're still going at it.
That's awesome.
We're still fighting the fight, aren't we?
So how many times have you run for Congress at this point?
So this will be third time's a charm.
Third time's a charm. Yes.
I ran the first time in 16, and I brought my business from California to really Lakeland, Florida because of Publix.
How long ago was that?
That was in 2014.
2014, gotcha.
And so we were right off of County Line Road, right here in Lakeland, and I lived in South Lakeland, and it was kind of a cultural shock, I will say, when coming from the beach and Costa Mesa, California, and coming here to Lakeland, Florida was a little bit of a cultural shock for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I didn't know really where it was. I know geographically, I know it's right outside of Tampa. I knew where it was. I just didn't realize how rural it was here. So
yeah, absolutely. It's huge difference.
It is a huge difference. But we got Grady Judd, so
that. You can't beat that.
We got the good sheriff in town. But anyway, so I moved here in 2014, and in 2015, I discovered that Kathy Castor, right over here in Hillsborough County, I had voted along with Nancy Pelosi on some of these rules and regulations that are impacting manufacturing companies throughout the United States.
Yeah.
And I was just livid because I'm like, I had to move my whole company 2,100 and some odd miles to get away from the fallen policies of Nancy Pelosi to find out that this little girl over here who never probably owned a business in her life, I'm sure she never wrote a check for an employee in her life, is making rules and regulations and voting on these and overstepping the boundaries of the EPA. I mean, that's what it really comes down to. And they're crippling food manufacturing in the United States. So I decided, well, I'll run up there to Washington, D.C. and have a little chat with that little Kathy. And so I took the mayor's wife, Linda, remember them at the time, Mayor Wigley, as Biggs. So his wife flew up there with me, and we made an appointment. We went in to see her, and they asked me, well, are you a Republican or a Democrat? And I, of course, being the smart ass I am, say, I'm a human.
Yeah.
And I thought that was funny. But, you know, Linda's like, she's a Republican. And to my shock, the girl says, well, Miss Castor doesn't see Republicans in this office. Well, I have a mouth like a sailor, so that didn't go over well with me. And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? This is my district, right? I've done really well. I don't do that anymore. Because you're not gonna appease people by getting angry like that, right?
Yeah, agreed.
So I just stopped doing that kind of behavior. So anyway,
although some of them deserve it.
Sometimes, I mean, you know, in the appropriate place and time. But,
exactly.
But at the end of the day, I decided, well, then I'll just run against her and give her a run for her money because people have.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Hillsborough County is full of rhinos. Full of rhinos. There is such an undercurrent going on over there that they sabotaged E.J. Otero, who would have been a fabulous, and I mean, far greater congressman than I probably would be. No, just kidding. I'm going to be a congressman. But
now, when you say rhinos, just for the listeners, define what that means to you.
Republican in name only.
They
say they're Republicans, but they're not living by the Republican creed, basically.
And what's a Republican look like? Like when you say you got to live by the creed, what does that mean to you?
So, well, as a candidate, I signed an oath to the Republican Party.
Okay.
So what it looks like to me is less government, less taxes, less regulations. We want a smaller government and at the federal level, and let the states control their states. Let the people within their state legislation, you know, they should dictate the state. The federal government should just be kind of guideline to hold us all together as a union. And now the federal government has just gotten so big, they've overstepped their boundaries, that they are getting into our lives, and then they just keep raising more taxes. But as a Republican, you want to reduce taxes. We want to increase independence in America. I want people to, like I always make this saying, you can't be pitiful and powerful. Stole it from Joyce Meyer. Love it. You can't be pitiful and powerful. Right?
And that's good.
But I can help you out of the pit. But only you can make yourself powerful. But it's the reverse when you get federal funding going into the pockets of people that are poor, the poorest of poor, are receiving these, and then they get a sense of entitlement. It doesn't have them out of the pit. It just keeps them in the pit. And then they become pitiful, and they're not helping themselves being in a better independent life. And so for me, that's what the Democrats do. The Democrats are about keeping people in the pit for power, right? They want the power, where I want to give the people the power. I want you to make your decision. As a business owner, I want to have the greatest and the finest and the most intelligent and the hardest working people working for me, right? Why do I want to have people that I have to, you know, constantly go back or help? And I always say this, when they're not doing their job, well, why am I paying you? I'm not going to pay you if I have to come do your job. I don't need to tell you what to do. Exactly like if I hire an attorney. He's got a degree in law. He knows the law, so I hire him, I pay him, he represents me, right? I don't go into my lawyer and tell him how to do his job. He does his job. So it's the same thing. If I hire people, I train them, and then I want them to do their job. Do your job. We don't have a problem. People get themselves fired. I don't fire people.
I will say that in our country, we're starting to celebrate more mediocrity and also lack of accountability.
Well, complacency is an open door for the enemy. So we become very complacent. I wrote a great speech about tolerance, and we have started to tolerate bad behavior. Oh, it's okay. Let them do what they want to do. It'll be okay. But in the name of tolerance, we've opened this door, this Pandora's door, and now it's like these people that have their ideology and then they just want to push it on us, and then complacency, we just kind of, well, nothing's really going to happen with that, you know.
Yep.
It's not going to go anywhere. Really? Because now we have, what, how many genders? I mean, I've lost count. There's so many genders, right? I know one thing. I have a vagina and I'm a woman, and I love being a woman. I love being a woman, and I think we need to start teaching women, our girls, to be women. I think women need to surround other women and lift them up as women and support that. And you boys, you need to be nicer to girls, right?
Agreed.
But boys need to be, I mean, I think that boys have lost respect for women, and because women have become just like giving it away or thinking that's what they have to get. So I always tell girls, listen, baby girl, you got what they want. Don't give it to them. Chase you around like a little rabbit, right? And it's so true. But we're not having honest dialogue with our young girls anymore. And now they're confused. Should I be a boy? Should I be a girl? No.
Exactly.
No. I grew up with 5 brothers, 2 sisters, 8 of us, biological brothers and sisters. When we were younger, I was the biggest tomboy there ever was on this face of the earth. I could beat my brothers up, and they were older than me, right? Yeah, until they turned like 14. All of a sudden, that testosterone starts kicking in, right? Boys change, and they could outpower me, no problem. Right? So, but never once when I was being the tomboy, climbing the tree, racing the boys, beating them up, because I would fight back. You hit me, I hit you back. My brothers hit me, I hit them. Right? We did that as kids. And I think that that's healthy. You learn to defend yourself. Now you hit somebody or you fight like that. Oh, we can't have that. Yeah, you can. Take the boys out, let them wrestle it out, and then they shake hands and make up. Right? But if you do that, oh, that's bad. We shouldn't.
Well, it's because when you do it your way, the way you said, there's a level of respect. It's you know, I've drawn my line in the sand, and you fought for that line, and now when people come at you, now they say, okay, this is that line, and I know what's going to happen if I try to cross that line.
Right.
But if you're this weak person, you can just cross the line. It's like, okay, let me go further. Take an inch or give an inch, take a mile.
Exactly.
So.
But the thing is that we do change as we grow older. Our bodies are changing, right? And now my brothers are stronger, and so when I push back, they could take me down. So then I learned, I better not push back on my brothers like that because I'm going to get hurt. Right? But the thing is that now these boys we're trying to tell our, gender identity, you can choose your identity when you're 3. No, you can't. You can't choose your identity when you're 3. But you can't also let these boys that can't make it on a boys sport come in and start being on a girl's sport. Because I don't care what anyone says, they have testosterone. Those boys are stronger just genetically by God's rule. God made them that way. And now they're going to come and they're going to plummet girls. Do you know, when I was a teenager, I was on Girls Athletic Association. This was a big thing in California. And it was really hard to push for girls' sports, for us to get, be able to have our own softball teams, soccer teams, right? It was very difficult. Girls weren't allowed. And I was a tough rumble-tumble girl, right? And I was a champion swimmer. I swam. And I like to play all the sports. I got all 5 presidential awards that they gave out. I still have those little stickers, the little stickers ago. We don't even have that anymore. But you know what? Now the boys are going to come in and start playing girls' sports.
So what do we do to solve that, I guess would be the question. How can we solve that problem?
We make legislation. You support Christine Quinn. These 2 little feet need to be in Congress, and I'm going to make sure that we don't pass it. Federally, we're going to pass legislation that doesn't allow boys. You don't get to determine, oh, I'm going to be a girl today. Oh, I'm going to be a boy today. No. No. This has gone too far. And I am drawing the line in the sand.
Again, I do think that there needs to be a standard, because when you have all these millions of standards, we have nothing to go by. You're like, you can just do whatever you want.
Right.
And there can't be that, because there has to be law accountability. There has to be like, okay, this was the line, this is the box that we established, and you cross that line now. Not like, oh, I'm just going to draw my line over here now. And because then literally people can do whatever they want.
Right.
And we can't have that.
And then we're passing legislation that is, so When I was a little girl, I was talking about, I mean, we learn as we grow, right? I'm an accumulation of all the things. And my mother was brilliant, my dad's brilliant. So we grew up in a very intellectual family. And so there were a lot of intellectual conversations that I got to listen to. I was little, I was the sixth one, but I heard them, and so it impacted me. But I got this one poster, and I'm looking at all your posters, and so that it was a giraffe. And on that poster, it says, seek two things in life, wisdom and common sense. Wisdom is knowing and doing right, and common sense is applying it to your daily living. And it was written by Anonymous. And I remember asking my mom, who's Anonymous? Right? Because I thought that was like somebody's name, like Joe Smith. Who's Anonymous? Well, it's anonymous. I didn't know what that word meant. Right? But the thing is that now we have no wisdom and we have no common sense. So now it's just what is going on, and we need to bring it back in. You know, the pendulum will always swing, right? But now it's just swung to one side, and they're controlling it over there, and it's not coming back. We always want to have a balance, right? And we're just not seeing that. So we need common sense people like myself that have wisdom from going through life's experiences, being kicked down, get back up, kicked down, get back up. You just get back up and do it again. Right?
So when you dethrone her, and notice I said when.
Yes.
When you dethrone her, what are going to be some of the first changes that you're going to do?
The number one thing that I really want to work on is the Department of Education.
Okay.
Because I think the only way we're going to turn this ship around is through re-looking at how we're educating our children. And we are pre-programming these children to not even think at all. And we need to go back to arithmetic, reading, writing, the basics, right? And we also need to bring back wood shop, metal shop. We need to bring back electricians. We need electricians. We need plumbers.
I would even say personal finance as well.
Personal finance. You know, in 8th grade, you used to learn how that you could go open up a checking account. And we got a little checkbook, and we got our fake money, and we would have to buy supplies and then balance the checkbook.
And that's awesome,
They don't even do that anymore.
Nope.
In fact, you know what's the worst part? We're not even teaching cursive.
I know.
Now think about that. Just think about where they're going right now. Oh, you don't need ID for voting. Well, we won't need signature verification. Well, if we're not teaching our children anymore, which we're not, because they've taken it out now, then they won't be able to sign their name. What are we going to go back to the 1800 and put your thumbprint?
Or just put an X.
Right? Well, you know what's really interesting about that is that my maiden name is Seaver. And when they were doing property, they would go into the tax people and you'd buy your property with gold or whatever you bought it with, and they would write it down. Well, they were kind of illiterate, right? People didn't know how to read and write fully. And so the last name is Seaver, V as in Victor, but if you sound no Seaver, it might sound B, right? So we always have to say V as in Victor, not B as in boy. Right? But anyways, they misspelled the word, and so it's Seibert, S-E-I-B-E-R-T. But Fort Seibert, they have a reenactment of every year on the Potomac River was the last fort standing with all the ammunition for General George Washington.
Oh, wow.
Right?
So
now let's just take that example and let's bring it today. Modern day Antifa, Black Lives Matter, these rebellious groups, right? Well, in the day we had cowboys, right? Somewhat. And because there wasn't a lot of law and order, people were on horseback. People got to remember, it's only 200 years ago.
No, it wasn't that long. Like, we've come so far so fast.
Exponentially. We've come. I mean, we have planes, trains, cars, spaceships, all in a span of 55 years.
It's crazy.
Crazy. Exponentially, we have just grown from when for 2,000 years we were pretty much stagnant, right? So now we have, let's go back to that day and time. The Indians, obviously, were being bought out by some of the bad guys, telling them, hey, go burn that down because General George Washington's going to come through there. Don't, we want it burned down, and we'll pay you if you go burn it down so that they don't have the ammunition because he's going to come through, whatever they're saying. Sounds like the Democrats telling them, go burn down the businesses, right? Well, the townspeople get all together and they're like, well, we're not going to be able to take on the Indians. The Indians are going to come in here, and we don't want to go to the fort to defend it, right? So the townspeople didn't know. I mean, there's always gossip and chatter. I don't care where you are. We have cell phones. We can get it more fast.
Yeah, flows a lot
They
faster.
still had people, oh, so-and-so, did you hear about so-and-so? I mean, they all gossiped.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So they all knew that the Indians were going to come burn down that fort. They knew it because my cousins were in there. My cousins and uncles and aunts were in there, and they knew they were coming, right? General George Washington was trying to get there. He was trying to send troops. They couldn't get there fast enough. If the townspeople would have just come and helped surround that fort, the Indians wouldn't have come in and they wouldn't have burned it down.
Yeah.
But each year now on the Potomac River, in June, they do go to Fort Seabird and they do a reenactment, and all of my relatives were, not all of them obviously, all of them that were in there, 18, were burned up that day in that battle, holding off the Indians for General George Washington.
Wow.
So, my family's fighters. We stood and fight. But if the townspeople would have come in. And so my cry right now is, townspeople, it's time to come in.
Stand up, yeah.
We're going to have to lock arms and come together, and we're going to have to build a wall here, literally speaking, of people against this liberal agenda that wants to take down America.
Yep.
Because it's all about socialism, my friends. That's what it's about. It's about power. And the communist China, they want to come in here so bad they can taste it.
Yep.
And they're chomping at the bits to get in here. And unless we go arm in arm, guys, and that means supporting people like me, Christine Quinn, it's in my blood. I mean, I'm a fighter.
Yep.
And I don't back down. So I fought to keep my business alive, and I had to go up to Congress, and so back to your original question, why did you start? I ran against her in 2016. I didn't know anyone. I just moved here.
Yep.
I moved over to Tampa because, I'm sorry, it was just a little bit too rural here for me in Lakeland.
Not good enough for you. No, I'm just kidding.
No, that wasn't good enough. I just needed it a little bit more.
I'm just messing with
you. I moved over to Tampa. I loved going over to Tampa. When I came to visit, I'd stay in Tampa, and I really did love Tampa. And you know, and truthfully, it was where I was living here. The house I bought was kind of a little rural. It was more out towards Bartow, even though it had a Lakeland address. But anyway, at the end of the day, I was on County Line Road for my business, and it was faster to go to Tampa than it was to go to Bartow.
Wow.
From County Line. So it was more convenient anyways.
That makes sense.
And I met some people that lived over there, so it was like, oh, I have friends over there, let's go, So anyway, that's how I got to Tampa, but I didn't really know people. Obviously, I had no name recognition. I didn't have any money. I'd never run a campaign before. I was past president of the Oceanside Republican Women's Federation. I've been on RECs, Republican Executive Committees. I've been in a lot of groups. I was on Reagan's committee in 1980.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
That dates me.
That's cool.
That was kind of cool.
Love me some Reagan.
But at the end of the day, I didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
So I just started going to churches, talking to whoever I could talk to. I had hired this girl. I don't want to go into that right now, but she did not do what she was supposed to do. None of my brochures were correct. Everything. I mean, it was just a disaster from the get-go, right?
Yeah.
So I just started paving the pounding the pavement, and I got 39% of the vote with no name recognition, no money, no committee, just me.
That's impressive.
So I was thinking of running again in 18, but I'm running my business. I didn't get the support that I felt like I needed, and I was like, okay, great, you guys want me to run? Buck up some money, because it takes money to run a congressional campaign.
And what is your business? Is it, what is it?
I own My Family Seasonings, and we're an all-natural dry rub. We're
very
all
cool.
the Publix on Sauces and Mixes, if anyone wants to go out there and buy some.
Where can they find that?
And on Sauces and Mixes in the Publix.
Okay.
So, not on the spice, because we're a mix.
Okay.
So we're not like we don't do salt, pepper, whatever, we're a mix. So it's on Sauces and Mixes.
That's awesome.
But anyways, we're in all the Publix, we're in all the commissaries
That's cool.
around the world.
That's awesome.
We're in HEB, which is kind of like the Publix of Texas. We're in Safeway is divided up, and we're in some of the Safeway stores, but we're literally in grocery stores nationwide.
Very cool. That's awesome.
It's been a nice little business, and maybe I'll come back and talk a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great.
Just do something as an entrepreneur and how to get started.
That would be great.
In a business, but so anyway. I just didn't feel like I was going to get the support, and everyone's like, are you going to run? Well, I'm not a politician, and I'm not in it just for the fun. It's not fun. Running a campaign, let me tell you, is the most tiring, stressful, mental anxiety. I don't even, it's not fun.
And you just have people attacking you all the time.
All the time. But I'm fighting for you.
Yep.
I'm fighting for the posterity of America. I have 8 grandchildren. I look in their little eyes, and this is not the America I want them to live in.
Yep.
But I wasn't going to get the support, and I'm not going to do it. So I didn't do it. Everyone says, oh, yeah, you registered. Well, it turns out your campaigns will go on, so then people will just assume that you're going to run again. No, I didn't withdraw. I didn't run.
Yeah.
And then in 2020, they came to me, the Republican Party here in Hillsborough Executive, and said, "Hey, we're going to really be able to support you this time. We're going to get behind you." And I said, "Okay." That was on a Wednesday, and I had to have the money overnighted by that Friday at 12. So no one else was going to run. She was going to get a free run, and I felt like, well, if the HREC is going to help me and people are going to get behind me this time, I'll do it, right?
Yeah.
So I paid the $10,440, which is what it cost, because if I would have started sooner, we could have got signatures.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And I only need 6,000 signatures, so I would have been happy to do that. And but this is the mistake I made both times. You can't get in the day before.
Yep.
You gotta have a campaign going and flowing, and you gotta be generating, like right now, all we're doing is getting donations.
Gotcha.
Literally, it costs a lot of money. You gotta have a campaign manager, a campaign consultant, you have to have a deputy.
How much did Kathy Castor have in 2020?
I think she had about $1.2 million.
$1.2 million.
Two. And let me just tell you, some of that money came from Republicans to her.
Yep.
So we have a lot of rhinos in that South Tampa that, shame on you guys. Because look what she's voting for.
Yep.
Look what she's doing in Congress.
Yep.
And look at our lives now. We're paying for it at the pump. The pipeline was shut down. We lost thousands and thousands of jobs. We'll talk a little bit about the border, because I was down there.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
How irresponsible that is. Kathy Castor's on board with all that stuff.
Yeah.
And my biggest beef with her? Biggest beef. She talks about the environment. Her husband, Bill Lewis, which she doesn't use William Lewis's last name because she ties her name to her father, who was a former judge and by all accounts was a good guy. He really was.
Yeah.
He's a conservative Democrat, but he was probably the old Kennedy Democrat. He's been dead about 10 years or so. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
But instead of her being on her own and independent and doing it on her own, she just went on the skirt tails of her family name.
Yeah.
And her mom was president of USF.
Wow.
So if anyone wants to do their homework, go follow the money. Where's the federal dollars going?
Yeah.
USF.
Yep.
Go follow that trail, right? And we can go down that rabbit hole on another one, but we're not going to go there now. Anyway, but she totes, and her husband is an environmental attorney. And he fights for people who have, like, maybe spills or stuff. You can go look him up. And kind of interesting that just on April 6th, 500 million gallons of toxic waste, radioactive, from that there was a compromise, Piney Point. So yeah, it wasn't her district, right? But it doesn't matter, it's going in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
I think Tampa Bay is our district, but when we're talking the environment, isn't that the whole world?
Yeah.
And she's federal, so federal should be protecting all of us around the whole world, right?
No, yeah, you're right.
Especially in our backyard.
Yep.
So my big beef is, her family's been here, 100 years? 25 years ago, the Army Corps of Engineers did a study on that and said, we're going to have leaks. We're going to have a breach. The lining, they don't think would hold up because it's a bunch of salt and radioactive left over from that factory down there. And she didn't do anything about it. Now, she was a county commissioner. She was city council. That would have been her responsibility 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, you said that she does have some accomplishments, so what are the things that she was able to
Oh, yeah.
accomplish?
Yes. Kathy Castor has passed two bills in Congress in her, 14 years now? 2 bills. She renamed post offices. Those renaming of a
essential.
post office, so yeah. And while the black men that she represented in the renaming of them are fine men and pillars in our society, wouldn't the $2 million per post office been better spent in that community and helping with jobs, helping get the streets better, getting the street lights up, getting the trees trimmed, getting some curbs and an infrastructure in there, getting some drainage so it doesn't flood. Wouldn't that money been better spent than on renaming a post office? Because remember this, mail goes around the world. So guess what they have to do? They have to send out messages to every carrier around the whole world.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
They got to rename it. They got to put a sign up, and oh, what a nice little presentation that is. She gets to put the sign up, have a ribbon cutting. Oh, hi, and Toto pat herself on the back.
Yeah.
Not so much the accomplishment of the people.
The only bills that she's passed have been really self-serving bills for her whole entire
In the black community.
term in Congress.
It's in the, and it's a shame because they're being duped.
Yep.
The black community is being duped. You tell me what has changed in the black community in 25 years in Tampa.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yep.
But yet the black community continues to vote for her, or they get this ideology in their head, well, we're Democrats and so we better vote for them. You know what? You better turn around and look at Christine Quinn, because I'm going to help your community. I'm going to ensure your community gets the funds it really needs. I'm not going to talk the talk, because when I was out there walking and it got dark and the streetlights didn't come on, I wasn't scared. I couldn't find the sign on the street to get out.
Yeah.
So if I lived there, and I have my little children and my children running around, I would want my little children to feel safe.
Right.
Right? Doesn't matter the color of your skin. I'm a mother.
Yep.
And as a mother, I would want my children to be on a sidewalk. I'd want them to have curbs. I'd want them to have nice streets. I'd want the street lights to come on because I have children. What's she doing about that? She doesn't care because she lives in her nice little house right there in the bay, right along Bayside Drive in South Tampa. Nice little cozy life. See, she's so distanced from it. She's not living that every single day.
Yeah.
So these people need to realize that Christine Quinn is going to fight for them. And I'm going to make changes. And it's not even my job, really, as congresswoman, but it is my job to make sure that my community is safe for all people living within it. Right? But those federal dollars run through USF. They've got a great medical center over there. And did you all see downtown, the new USF Medical Center, downtown Tampa, right across the street? They took out like 6 businesses to build it. Are you going there?
Yeah.
Did you see all the beautiful condos that are going up there? I can't even afford to live there.
Yeah.
And I bust my butt working.
Yeah.
Right? Who's going to live there? How does that benefit the black community that continues to vote for her? Right?
And especially nowadays when you have, like in California, you have in New York, like a lot of people are flooding here, right? And they're going to vote similar, probably most of them, because they don't understand, to what made that happen anyways, but they're going to bring it here or in Texas and all that stuff. And I think, unfortunately, most people are just, they don't do the research. They don't look into it. They don't figure out why this is happening and who are the people that are doing that makes this happen. And I think the reason that Trump won in 2016 was because people were just tired of the game. You know, because politicians, you know, no offense, play games. You know what I'm saying? Well, I mean, yeah, true.
I'm a businesswoman, so.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people just play the game, but he won because he was a no-nonsense businessman.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And he's just like, look, we have a job to do, and we need to get it done.
Right.
You know, and yeah, people can say whatever. He was bombastic. He was bad. You know, whatever. But he got it done. You know what I'm saying? Like, he did what he was supposed to do. I'm not looking for somebody to coddle me and all that stuff. Just, you know, build the infrastructure. You know, give me the opportunity to be able to make something of myself. You know what I'm saying? And that's all we need. But now we need, you know, funding. We need, like, you know, I need $1,000 a month. I need, you know, you to be able to tell me I'm a Z instead of a he or she. And it's just, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
No common sense. You know, and who cares what he tweets? You know what he was tweeting? I think he's as smart as a fox, right?
Yeah.
And I think his tweets were just to irritate and piss off the left, right?
Yep.
And I mean, Twitter has just gone to hell in a handbasket. It's not even fun anymore. I miss Trump. Trump, get it back out and tweet. He said even if they bring it back, he's not going to.
Or come on the podcast. I'd love to have you on.
Come on over here. Come to Lakeland. We'll bring you down.
And that's why I love this, though, because, like, the dialogue, and I think we're missing that. Like, I hate the media. Like, I probably every time he comes on, I just say how much I hate the media because they're liars. You know what I'm saying? And, like, I've seen that firsthand. Like, I was there at January 6th for Trump.
So was I.
And
I was there.
And, like, a lot of what they're...
Jason and I were there together.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. But, yeah, me and my dad were there, and I'm sorry you couldn't meet my dad today, but... whenever I got back to the hotel, it was just a bunch of just garbage being blown up. Yes, we don't condone, the people running in on the Capitol and that stuff, but that compared to BLM marching through the streets last summer, causing billions of dollars worth of damages, having like 40 plus people die, like there's no comparison.
None.
And I'm not advocating that that was wrong or that was right and the other was wrong. Both were wrong. You know what I'm saying? But the media is saying, oh, mostly peaceful protests, as opposed to insurrection, terrorists, white supremacists, like that pisses me off.
That pisses me off because I was there
Mm-hmm.
and it did not happen. Jason and I were there. We were videotaping on the Capitol steps, and so the media is so deceptive. So what does Satan do?
Yep.
Satan is the greatest deceiver.
It's father of lies.
Right?
Yeah.
He 1 Peter 5:8. Satan, the evil one, roams the earth seeking whom he may devour.
Yep.
He creates deception and divisiveness, right? John 10:10. The evil one comes to steal, kill, and destroy.
Yep.
But I come to give you life, give it abundantly, overflowing.
Yep.
And then the next paragraph says, choose life. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a multiple choice. Life, death.
Yep.
I came to give you life.
Yep.
Satan came to bring death.
Yep.
But God doesn't want a bunch of puppet. You have free will.
Yep.
God wants you to choose Him. And every day is a new day to choose the Lord.
Agreed.
Period.
100%.
And really what this comes down to is a spiritual battle. We do not fight the principalities of flesh and blood,
No.
but of the unseen world. And Jesus tells us the unseen world is powerful.
Yep.
So you have to continuously be on your guard and spiritually, and then asking the Lord, protect me, keep me safe. Every day, parents get up, say a hedge of thorns around your kids. Lord Jesus, I pray that you protect my children, keep them safe from accidents, injury, murder, drugs, whatever, name it. He says to name it specifically.
Yep. And even
And
Satan
for
masks
protection.
himself as an angel of light as well, according
That's
to Paul. And that's what people need to understand is, people say like good things and they whisper in your ear, wonderful things, but you got to see what they're doing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like,
Right.
Democrats, politicians be like, oh, we're going to take care of you. It's going to be okay. It's fine. It's their fault. They're the reason this bad stuff is happening. But all you're doing is just going off based on what they're saying.
Right.
Not you're not looking into it objectively. Like, okay, why did this happen? Who's talking? Who am I catching in the lies?
Right.
And there's just none of that. It's like, okay, the media told me this, therefore I'm going to believe it, and then move on with my life. Let me vote this way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's just unfortunate. And that's actually part of their problem because they're allowing themselves to be deceived. You have to be able to
Right.
to see that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Be
Right.
objective.
Well, think of it this way. Who knows God best? Don't answer because I already told you. Who knows God best?
Jesus.
No, who knows God best? Jesus is God, Father, the Son.
Yeah, Father, Son, Holy
Okay,
Spirit.
so who knows God best?
I mean, the angels, and then also would be
You're on it. You're on
yeah,
it.
it'd be Satan.
Satan.
Yeah.
He lived with God. In fact, he was the most good-looking, the most handsome, the most powerful, strongest angel, right? And then he got filled with pride.
Yep.
And so he was cast from heaven.
Yep.
So who knows him best? Who knows you best?
Yeah.
Your wife,
Yep.
your mom, your dad, your brothers, your sisters. Who's your worst enemy?
Yep.
Your friends.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
They know you.
Yeah.
And they can turn on you quickly. But they know how you think. They know how you're doing stuff, right?
Yep.
So if you're going to have an adversary
Gonna be
that's going to
somebody
come
close.
against you,
Yep.
it's going to be someone who knows you.
Yep.
So Satan is just an imitator.
And also, I think it's interesting too. Not only will it be somebody but it's going to probably most likely be somebody that covets what you have.
That's right.
He coveted the
That's-
throne of God.
That's right.
And he wanted to be better than God.
Right.
And unfortunately, you see a lot of that now.
Right.
I should be rich, therefore I can't get it because I'm oppressed because
You
of A, B, and
shouldn't
C, and you shouldn't have it. And actually, I deserve reparation, so you should give it to me.
Right.
That's a problem.
That's a problem. My mother used to always say, honey, I was a cute little girl. And I was always the cute little Bobby around with my pigtails, and I got along with everyone. And girls were always kind of mean to me, especially as I got a little bit older. And they would pick on me a little bit, and I would just punch them in the face. I would get upset. I still have feelings. I think just because I punch people in the face, they think Christine doesn't have any feelings. I have feelings. And my mother used to say, honey, jealousy is worse than murder because they're killing you while you're still alive.
Yep.
And so these girls are jealous. She would always just say, they're just jealous, honey. You're just going to have to look beyond that and just be yourself, and everybody will love you if you just be yourself.
Yep.
So I just be myself.
Yep.
Yeah, boom. I'm just kidding.
And it's funny
But we
because
have to learn to be ourselves. Just be
Agreed.
true to who you are.
Agreed.
And then people will love you for who you are. We don't have to put on a facade of being something else. What you see is what you get, right, Jason?
Absolutely.
With me, and I'm no holds bars back, you know. I've done very well as I've gotten older, just to kind of mellow out. And especially in business, you know, when I was fighting to get my business going, it feels like I was just constantly fighting. And then it's just like, oh my gosh, I'm just so tired of fighting and arguing. I don't want to even do this again. I kind of just made a vow, I don't want to argue anymore. And let me tell you, it took like 6 years to stop arguing. Right?
But people can make you so mad too, and you're like, I can't, like, going through Facebook, you're like, can't do it. Okay, maybe just let me do a little bit. You know, like,
don't open the door.
Yeah, exactly.
I always open the door. I'm like, oh God, Christine, why did you do that? You know? I know better. Say no, right? And then just be quiet. So it's a process, and we learn that as we grow, as we get older. And so now I just try to be a little bit more mellow and try not to be so confrontational. But we can fight a different way. We can fight by coming together as like-mindedness and saying, what are we going to do? Because we can all talk till we're blue in the face. What are the solutions? Right? The solution is, you got to vote for Christine Quinn. I need big donations. You know, literally to run for office, which is really sad, and I think is what keeps a lot of good people. There's a lot of good, intelligent people that would be great legislators, right? But when it's a lot of time, it's a lot of money, and it's a cesspool out there. So I'm in a position now in my life, my kids are grown, the grandkids are grown, pretty much. You know, I have a 20-year-old that was going to the University of Tampa, and she transferred out just about 2 weeks ago. I mean, she's finishing up now, but she's going to go to University in North Carolina now because of COVID and all the, you know, this fake COVID scare, fear mongering has destroyed so many young people's lives. In last March when it hit, I was crying, like really crying, for all of our sports guys, seniors in high schools, seniors in college. That was their last year, like March Madness. Of course, my kids went to Gonzaga, go Bulldogs. I was, they were slated to win last year. And how devastating. They worked 4 years, all that work put in, all that practice, and then to have this exploded like this and just used against us for the Democrats. And I'll say it, I don't care. People can come against me, you can say all you want. Come talk to me face to face and bring me some evidence, because I'll show you some real evidence, right? I have a degree in microbiology. I studied.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. I went to school. I wanted to be some sort of research. My dad was a research scientist, and he did all medical laboratory testing for space. He worked for so space contracts would always be like McDonnell Douglas, Philco Ford at one time in the 60s had it, and he designed the space station that's in space today, my dad.
Now, question, you don't believe COVID is real at all, or you believe it's real but it's overblown?
I think COVID, the corona, let's just call it what it really is. This is SARS-2.
Yep, SARS-2, yeah.
And now they're going to say it's COVID. But corona is...
label viruses.
Well, it's a common cold.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And the only reason they call it corona is because with the cellular structure, and it looks like little crowns, and so they called it corona because it's the cell structure. But the coronavirus itself is common, right?
Yep.
And so if you were going to go to the doctor and they're going to make an acute diagnosis of you and you tell them what your symptoms are, they're going to tell you to go home, drink lots of liquid, get some rest, you'll be better in 3 days.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
So now I think they manipulated this through Wuhan. I think that it absolutely ties together somehow with Fauci, which I could go on about Fauci. First of all, he is not a medical doctor. He is a rheumatoid arthritis research scientist that has his doctorate.
And he hasn't seen anybody in like 40 years, from my understanding, like a patient.
No, he's not a patient doctor at all?
He's
not a patient doctor at all. He's a rheumatoid arthritis scientist, period. Have you ever heard of the thing called the Peter Principle? Y'all know what that is?
I don't know what that is.
You know when you go to get a job and your boss is just like an idiot, and you're like, I know more than him. How did he get to be the boss?
Yeah.
I should be the boss.
Yeah.
And he's so unbearable that you're so smart that you just say, I'm not going to work here anymore, and you leave.
Yep.
And so he makes life, he's the guy that makes you walking on pins and needles every time you go to work.
Yes.
You know, and you're like, shit, I don't want to work here. You're getting anxiety because you got an asshole. Sorry. That's
Yeah, you're
the
fine.
boss.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And how did he get there? Because you were smarter than him, and you're like, shit, I don't need this. I can get a job someplace else, more
Exactly.
money.
Yep.
So you leave.
Leave.
He moves up.
Yep.
Then the more people come in, and they see the same thing because he's the problem. And they leave.
Yep.
So then he moves up. And then he's been there for 15 years. Well, I guess we've got to promote this guy. And we're talking from the 60s to the 70s, and that was kind of the way things went. You stayed there long enough, we promote from within. The big top dogs don't really know that this is the guy causing all the trouble because nobody wants to say anything, so they leave. And he moves up.
Wow.
So that's called the Peter Principle.
Peter Principle.
He moved up
Interesting.
to his highest level of incompetency.
Wow.
He's incompetent. He doesn't have the training. He doesn't have the knowledge. Other people are way more competent, way more intelligent, but they leave because they're like, I'm not putting up with that.
Exactly.
And he moves up.
Yep.
So then the standard of the company moves down, and then by the time these people, that's how big corporations fall.
Yep.
They fail because they fail to recognize who's causing the problem.
Yeah. And who's the best?
And keeping the reason, getting rid of him. I don't care if he's been here 15 years, get his ass out of here. So for me, I tell my employees when I hire them, I tell them that.
Yep.
If you create the problem and you're creating the drama, I'm going to come back with a check and you're fired in front of everybody. Because if you're the problem, you're out.
Yeah.
Because you're making life miserable for everybody else, and why should their lives be miserable?
Exactly.
Right.
So I identify the problem, I take care of the problem, and I let everybody know who's next.
Yep.
You
Right.
guys are doing that? I will be back here with a check for you too.
And I think that's interesting too, because you said you have to identify the problem, because if you don't identify the problem and get it out, then things continue to get worse.
Right.
And if you look at the nation, you know what I'm saying, and you look at like how people are voting, especially like blue states and all that stuff, it's getting worse.
It's getting worse.
But they're voting the same, and it continues to get worse, and it continues to get worse, and it's like there's a reason things aren't changing. You know what I'm saying? It's because
we're not identifying the problem.
exactly, because we're not addressing the problem, and they're dividing us enough to where, 50-50, however you want to divide it, but dividing it big enough to where we can't fully get that problem out unless enough people say, hey, this is the problem. Like, trust us. This is why. Here's A, B, and C. Why this is the problem. Here's the research. Because that's the hardest part, is getting people to believe it.
Education.
And it's education, right? And also it's a pride issue too, because people have to be able to sit to themselves and say, you're right, I was wrong. I didn't know that. No matter how much you believe and want it to believe, and that's the thing, is these people, they fight with their emotions,
Right.
but not facts. And most of them don't fight with facts, and it's like, I can't do anything with emotion. You know what I'm saying? That's you.
Right.
And unless you do something with that,
Right.
we're still going to go around and round and round.
That's right.
So
We can't make decisions based on
Exactly.
emotions, right?
Agreed.
And so as a parent, and when my children do something wrong, I spanked my kids. Not hard. I didn't take a belt and whip them. They got a smack on their butt. No, you're not going to do that.
Yep.
Because there has to be a consequence, and we're not going to do that. So now you're going to go to your room. We're going to have time out. And when you can come back and apologize. So I use this great example. So 2 kids are fighting over this toy. We're fighting over it, right? So pull that thing. No, I want that. I want it. And then the mom comes in and says, okay, who had it first?
Right.
Yep.
Well, I had it first. No, I had it first. No, I had it first. No, who cares who had it 1st? You're both at fault.
Yep.
Because you're both being selfish, because you want it. I want it. I don't want you to have it. You don't want me to have it. Where's the problem?
Yep.
You have to identify the problem. The problem is selfishness,
Agreed. Yeah. Very good.
right?
Yep.
So that's the problem. Then people don't want to have to get into what the problem really is. And then it's time out for both of you. And when you both can come in and apologize to each other and learn to share and to get along, and then to love your brother
Love each other.
enough that you say, okay, I'm sorry, Jason, you can have the water.
No, you can have it.
Yeah.
And then it just gets annoying. No, you can have it.
No,
No,
you
just
can
give it
have
to
it.
somebody.
Right? But that's how you identify it. And I know that's like a very simplistic example, but it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if you're a high executive and you're fighting over, you had an idea, well, that was my idea, and I want my idea, and I want my name on that idea. And it's like, well, we worked on it together, and I want my name on that. Well, then why don't we put both our names? No, because it was mine, and I want the promotion, right? Who's going to get the most money out of it?
Yeah.
There's the problem.
Yep.
So let's work together as a team. There's no I in teamwork, right?
Agreed.
And I remember when I started my company and I was writing this bio of how I got started. And so I let my dad read it. And I was like, Dad, what do you think about this? And so he reads it and he goes, well, Christine, I'll say one thing. You sure did a lot on your own because all I see is I.
That's funny.
So it's good to have feedback like that.
Agreed.
And then I was like, oh, yeah. And you know what? I went in and said, we. I changed the I to we. Because it wasn't I. I had a team. I had people helping me. My father helped me. People helped me build this business together. But I, Christine, wanted to take, I. And it's pride.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. And we all need a little humbling.
Oh, Lord, I've had enough humble pie to last me.
Right, yeah, exactly.
But,
That humble pie.
I've had some humble pie, I tell you what. But you know what? It's made me stronger. It's made me who I am today. It's given me a voice. I can be a voice for you guys, right? And I know my kids, they know me, and they would say differently sometimes, you know. But that's just because those people closest to you are your hardest critics.
Agreed.
Right?
Yep.
They're your hardest critics. And it's like, no, I did the best I could with the circumstances we had and to train you in the ways you should go.
Yeah.
But they're all good adults. They're all tax-paying citizens. They're all homeowners. You know, they can go out and buy a car. My oldest daughter's working on her PhD. I wish she'd get that finished up. And it's hard when you have kids and teenagers, you know.
Yep.
But she teaches school. She was in administration. And she saw firsthand how corrupt the California school districts were and the corruption within the school district, and especially with the unions.
Yeah.
And so she stepped down, went back into the classroom, and she says, I'm like, how can you do it? And she says, well, you know, Mom, I only have 2 more years and I get full retirement.
Yeah.
So you kind of get stuck in it. And I remember, God, it had been 15 years ago. She goes, oh my gosh, I don't want to be stuck in this. I want to start something else. And here it is almost 30 years later, you know.
Wow.
And she's still stuck in it. And that's what we do. We get caught in the rat trap.
Yep.
Yeah.
In the gutter.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to step out and start over and just say no because I don't like it. But my other daughter finished, they all graduated from Gonzaga University and doing very well. And so they're all doing good. So I feel like, okay, I did my job as a mom. You know what my dad used to always say? Honey, I don't know you anything, but put food in your belly and a roof over your head made me love you.
Yeah, right. So I wanted to get under the border because I know you said you went to the wall. Tell us about that.
Oh my goodness. Well,
What did you see?
that I saw the wall. It was a beautiful wall.
It was the best wall.
It was
You know?
I'm telling you what, it's a beautiful wall. It's so beautiful. It's going to be the most beautiful. And it is a beautiful wall. And it's half done. They stopped.
Yeah.
Like literally stopped. There was one pylon left to pour concrete in, one in this whole long, beautiful section. I have a picture. If you go on Facebook,
Wow.
you can see me leaning up and I'm in my camo, you know. We're going to fight the cartel. Right? I had my gun with me. But it's just one pillar left, and they walked away.
Oh.
And then it's probably good 40 yards or so
Wow.
to where the other one started and stopped.
And that was like one of the first things you did.
They should have come together, and then they would have put a fence there. This particular one did have a camera up on it, and so within, I would say, 3 or 4 minutes of us being there, Border Patrol showed up. And I was there with Cliff Gephardt from Conservative Grounds over in Clearwater. So if any of you want to go get all your good Trump gear, go see Cliff.
There you go.
And I went with Jonathan Riches, who is a great reporter. He gets right in there. But those guys brought donuts from Conservative Grounds. And so we had donuts in the car, and he gave a dozen donuts, and the guy goes, I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I said, well, eat them. Anyway, so it was really interesting. We were able to talk to him about what's going on. He goes, yeah, they walk straight across, but their whole objective is they don't care.
Yeah.
If they can get across the Rio Grande and they can walk on land, they want to get picked up by Border Patrol. That would be the best scenario, is for them to get picked up, because then they know, and they're all told what to do. Go let them find you. right? Because then they know, and I'll tell you what happens. But he was saying, here's the biggest problem right now. So we talk about all of this stuff. What's the solution? Our Border Patrol has been underfunded for 25 years until Trump came along. Trump started funding them, giving them the equipment they needed. There's these actual cameras that cost about $800 a piece, that if we could get those into the hands of everyone from Tijuana, Arizona, New Mexico, through Texas, we could basically combat that just from that camera.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, so $800 doesn't seem like a lot of money. I mean, how many do we need? But it's going to save these people. So,
agreed.
And we're just talking to him, and he's basically agreeing that their hands are tied. They look at the humanitarian side of it, right? As a human being, they got to help this human. Do they want to help bring an illegal in? No. But they're not going to leave a guy out there, or a girl, woman, you're young, to get eaten by real coyotes or by the coyotes, which are the drug cartel. I mean, either coyote's going to get them, right? So it's kind of a catch and release. They catch them, then they release them, and it's kind of sad. So after that, we went downtown, and we were in McAllen, Texas, and Brewster, Texas, which are some of the tough ones. In Brewster, it was kind of interesting because when we're driving up, we see all these people in line, and we're like, what are they in line for, right? They're 6 feet away, they're wearing their mask. This on the U.S. side, and the border is probably 20 yards away across the street. You can go across the border. And by the way, the United States borders are not closed. They've never been closed. We didn't close the borders. The borders are open. You have ID, you have money, you can come across. Costs $1 to go into Mexico, costs 25 cents to come back in the U.S. At these border points. So that's a myth. Oh, he's closing the borders. Nope. And anyone can fly in from any country, right? You get on a plane and fly in. You have a passport or their identification from their country, and they go home. Those aren't the people we're worried about. We're worried about these people that are illegally coming over here with bad intent for America. Right? They're bringing drugs, they're bringing guns, they're bringing warfare. They're not here to make peace and to,
Trump tried to bring light to the sexual exploitation that's occurring at the border. He said they're rapists, and the media, of course, spun that to mean he was referring to all illegals crossing the border. But he said that because, right, Christine, there's a lot of people that are being raped when they're being brought across the border.
Horrible. Okay, so let me just walk you through the day that we were there. So we wanted to find out what these guys were, and we found out that they were plasma banks. So these were Hispanics that were coming over the border, walking over. They must have ID because they walked over, right? And then they're giving plasma for $100, and then they're walking back across. What's interesting and what we don't know is there was kind of like a mule, a guy with a backpack standing in the alley, and as these people went through, they would line up. So is he been like getting them over here and then taking them back and taking a cut of the money that they have safety while they're here in America? I mean, I don't know, because we don't understand what that's all about. So there's an unanswered question. I was only there for 24 hours, so we kind of watched that, and then we found that these plasma centers are like everywhere there's a checkpoint to come in America, there's a plasma center. There were 3 in Brewster. There was one straight across, there was one across like 4 blocks over, and then there was another one about 6 blocks away. Okay, so there's a interesting.
That is interesting.
So here, I know people can't see me, but here, let's just say here's the border, right?
Okay.
They're coming across. It's like an intersection, four-way intersection. You walk down maybe 50 feet.
Okay.
There's another street. So a city block.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that city block on this corner is a brick building, and in that brick building there were a bunch of people in there, Hispanics or right? What are they doing in there? We couldn't get in. They wouldn't answer our questions. Straight across from that, which is basically a part of the street that they've put a COVID tent in, where they were supposedly doing testing for COVID. Although we didn't see any people going in there, so who knows what was happening. So then so here's the COVID tent, and that's in the street. So it's a 2-lane street and some parking lots. That's how wide it was. Sidewalk, bus station. So these people here, when they were coming out, were going into the bus station, and then they were getting loaded onto these buses, and where are they going? Question number 2. They're just being released out into America, and where? And are they going to come back in 2 years? Highly unlikely. Most of them next week, right? Then you have another group of people. So later in the day, we went over to McAllen, Texas, and it was pretty much, to me, a fine-oiled machine. Because it seemed like it was like if we were watching the clock every 20 minutes. 2 white vans would come in. They would open up the door, stand right there, I have video of it, and they had like 10 girls, probably I would say all under the age of 20, carrying babies, and some of these babies were big, so I would think they were maybe 4 or 5. So they're trying to hold them, they couldn't walk, they're sleeping. So who knows, you can see the fear in their eyes, total fear in these kids' eyes. They're opening the door, here we are, we've got reporters, we've got a crew there, we're filming. They're probably wondering what's going on. They're not, they don't know what's happening. They're getting out of their cars, there's 2 of them, and they're walking into a fence, and it's a newly poured fence. You can tell because it's brand new concrete. And it used to be a parking lot, and now there's a fence around, there's a COVID tent. Supposedly they're going in there to get COVID tested, right? Except for, as they got out and they walked into the tent, we walked along the fence side, and we walked the same speed they walked, and they came out the back door. So in the back door, so they didn't get COVID tested. There's no way. Some of them got separated out, and we don't know why. So of the 20 girls, because I counted them, that all had babies, they were all female, and then some of the children were male. Seems like they separated them. Are we?
No, you're good. You're good. Keep going.
Okay, so they separated in different tents. So we followed them, and then they got into another car. Then we followed that car, and it went 4 blocks away to Catholic Charities. Now we didn't have identifiable, like I should have said, oh, there's a red, a white, a blue, whatever shirt. Let's see if the people that are now coming out were those same people that just went in. Like, so we don't know. The people that came out, we weren't thinking. So now we go back, we want to have identify the ones that got in the van, when they went in and what time they come out. Like, how long are they in there? Right? That'd be interesting to find out what's going on in Catholic Charities. Right? They won't come out and talk. They will not come out and talk. So on the one hand, you can assume it's a humanitarian effort, right? I'm getting tired.
No, you're fine. I understand.
And then they're coming out from Catholic Charities with the bags of clothes, and we're assuming, or food, put on another bus. We followed those 2, they're unmarked cars. One car went to the bus station, came back around, and another car went to the airport. Jonathan followed them, went to the airport. So at the airport, they get there, and he got one of the girls aside and asked, where are you going? And there was a language barrier, right? And she's saying, I don't know. New Orleans. So she knew where she was going, New Orleans. She just didn't know where New Orleans was. Kind of like me coming to Lakeland. I know it's in Florida, but I just didn't know what it is, right? Until you get here, and then you start seeing all the little cities, right? I'm in America. So she didn't know where it was or what New Orleans is all about. She just, this is where they told her she's going. So he asked, do you have a sponsor? She didn't understand what that word meant. So see, next time, we're taking a translator. Right? So he asked, do you have a cell phone? He was actually going to give her numbers. And she said, no, they took my phone. So why would they take her phone?
Interesting. So people can't get a hold of her.
So why? So what's going to happen when she gets there? Another question. Where is she going to go? Okay, so these people are being farmed out, released into America, and they're just going to disappear to a life of adversity. They don't know where they're going. They don't have friends and family. They do not have sponsors. And, everyone's saying, oh, we got sponsors. No. So then, that's just one day. Then we went down the Rio Grande, and it's a fine oil machine. When you go down the Rio Grande, they have checkpoints, and they have people sitting out there and fishing with their little cell phones, telling them, boat's coming. They don't want a boat. Sometimes they didn't to us, but sometimes they'll take slingshots and do rocks at the boats, right? So they're already calling downriver, and so our guide was saying, see the bushes, and sure enough, you could see all the people hiding in the bushes. They're telling them to duck back behind, right? And they have rafts there. They get on these rafts, and so by all accounts, the Rio Grande is beautiful out on the river. Isn't this fun? Except for put your foot in there. And I told you I'm a champion swimmer. It would have sucked me right under.
Really?
The undercurrent is so bad in the Rio Grande that if you fall off one of those boats, you drown. They find bodies every day.
Oh, wow.
And if you don't drown, then the rattlesnakes are infested in those waters. So if you don't drown and you get bit by a rattlesnake, you're going to die.
Yeah, anyways, yeah.
If you make it across, on the other side, you're going to get raped. The girls are going to get raped. There are things called the rape trees, and that is real. And the drug cartels live on the American side.
What's a rape tree?
So a rape tree shows when these girls come across, these drug cartel guys, they don't care. These guys are evil to the core.
Yep.
They tie the girl up on the tree, they rape her, they take her panties and her bra, and they throw it up in the tree.
Wow.
So you'll see panties and bras hanging as like their little trophy in the trees. And then they literally will let a coyote, or if they liked her, they'll take her into slavery. So she becomes a slave, a sex slave.
Wow.
If they don't like her or whatever, she doesn't fit their need, then she's eaten by coyotes. They just leave them there. And there's bones. You'll see the bones.
Wow.
They're really travesty, which really, honestly, I haven't slept since I got back because I can't get this image out of my mind. But on the little kids, and I'm talking 5 and under, they pin on their shirts in a little baggie a condom and lubricant. Now, why would you pin that on a little child?
So that somebody can pick them up and get it?
Yeah.
Wow.
They have lubricants and whatever.
Wow.
So what are they going to do with that baby?
Yeah.
What's going to happen to that child?
Yep.
So Trump was doing the humane thing.
Yep.
Right.
Trump's telling, don't come, because this is going to be a life of travesty for you. You're going to be enslaved in sex trafficking. And slavery is alive and well in America. You know, everyone wants to put this big thing, the blacks were on the plantation. Slavery is still here, my friends.
Yep.
And all the people who voted for Biden voted for slavery.
Yep, they did. And that's been the Democrat platform since the beginning.
Yep.
It was the Republicans who freed the slaves, and really there was only about 8 bad plantations. And a lot of the blacks that were on these plantations that were working created their own culture within there, and they were good. They weren't all bad. Everyone wants to say it's bad.
Yep.
You only have some bad people that were bad. They were bad. I'm glad they're dead now, because I'd kill them. You know, I mean, they were bad people. Just like the drug cartel are bad people. These are not nice people who say, oh yeah, welcome to America. We have blue skies and white sandy beaches. Come on in, friends. No.
Yeah.
And then when you get Kamala Harris saying, oh, well, our veterans just need to put their big shoes on and be big boys and not get any benefits.
Yep.
Did you hear her quote?
I didn't hear that.
Well, she was saying that the veterans are being too dependent on the government, basically shouldn't get anything. And that they're whining, they're too whiny.
But everybody else that doesn't do anything,
But
they
you
can have
can
whatever
come
they
here
want.
illegally and you can get food and money and a car or whatever, right?
Right.
And those are just power struggles. It's a power play, actually, to get votes, right? But they got to ask themselves, you guys are so selfish in your thinking. What's the end game?
Yep.
Because, okay, you're going to be power of what? If I'm not working and I don't have 20 employees that are working and that we're paying taxes, what do you got?
Yeah.
California. The biggest dumpsters on the street that there is. I mean, it looks like a dump site on the street. In poverty, businesses are going to leave. I left. They're all leaving. My whole complex left.
Yep.
Who's going to pay the taxes? They're in.
Exactly.
They're in bankruptcy.
Yep.
You gotta let people manage their own money.
Right.
I can do better with my money than the government.
Yep, that's 100%.
Right?
Yep.
But again, it goes all the way back to education. I'd get rid of the Department of Education. We'd have standards, let the states establish those. I'd bring the Bible back and the 10 Commandments. You tell me what 10 Commandment. Just name one.
That you don't like.
You don't like.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
one. Just show me one, okay? And but those were rules. When I was a little girl in public school, we had the 10 Commandments, and we used to kiss it when we went out the door. Like it was a thing. You kiss it and run out the door.
That's awesome.
That's
cool.
Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, thou shalt love thy neighbor as I love thyself.
Yeah.
Come on, which one you not like?
Yeah, exactly. Honor your father and mother.
Yeah, where's that?
Yeah, there's no standard anymore, and that's the thing. They want to bring in these people that rape and kill and destroy, and now it's evil for policemen to step in and stop bad people from doing bad things now. And
What
it's like,
was LeBron thinking? LeBron, I'm calling you out. My name's Christine Quinn. Give me a call. What in the hell were you thinking?
Agreed.
That officer needed to protect that person, and you're going to make a political statement?
Yep.
You're more powerful than the president. LeBron, shame on you. Shame on you. That makes me so mad. Look, I turned red. Shame on him.
Yep.
Because he's a powerful man.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a black man.
Yep.
But wait, is he supposed to be less black? Maybe he should be more white.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, this is getting to be ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. It's very ridiculous.
And then if you say, oh, you're a racist, I'm not a racist. I might be prejudiced. I just don't like people because I don't like white people.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's my skin color.
Yep.
I just don't like some people.
Yeah.
There's no black people that are calling you racist. I know that.
Right. Right. No, I love people. I don't care what color your skin. I love the diversity. I love diversity.
Mm-hmm.
I love listening to my Hispanic people talking their language. I mean, I like to hear the voice.
Mm-hmm.
I love to travel and go to Venezuela.
Yep.
Not anymore.
Yep.
What happened to Venezuela? Maduro came into. When did he come into power? Do you guys know?
No, I don't know.
2012.
2012.
But it started in 2002. It took
Okay.
till 10 years to
Got
get
it.
him there,
Mhm.
right? He said it would be a slow process
Mhm.
to turn it to a socialism. Slow and gradual.
Yep. Yep.
Slow and gradual.
Yep.
Slow and gradual. He gets in 2012. By 18? 6 years later, communist country.
Wow.
Done. Do you guys? Someone was just telling me, and I don't have this right, and I want to look it up again. I should have called him and asked him. He was telling his family's from Venezuela, and they live there right now. He said they were big on the Facebook, and now they're like this because they have no money in poverty. And he said they were wealthy before. He said an egg now, and I don't quote me, but I think 2 eggs are $3.
Wow.
But they only make like 50 cents a day, and I misquoted that because I think I said 50 cents an hour the other day. No, they make 50 cents a day.
Wow.
How are you going to eat?
Yeah.
So that's what's happening in America, my friends.
Yep.
And don't think it can't happen
Yep.
because ours started with Obama.
Right.
Obama set the stage. The only reason Hillary Clinton is pissed off is because she was going to be the dagger to end it.
Yep. Yep.
And then we had this great man by the name of Donald Trump step up, the warrior that he is, and called her out.
Yep.
And thank God he did. And I love his little tweets. I miss you, Donald. And, thank God he did his little tweets because it resonated with the majority of America. Because I could get up here and give you all the medical terminology and speak in a different language, basically, and people are going to fall asleep. But if I just get up here and talk real,
Exactly.
right?
And that's what people want. They want real.
They want real.
You know what I'm saying? And
This
that's
is the way
what
it is.
and honestly it's the lack of transparency in government that keep people, untrusting, and it's causing a lot of the problems because now you have media lying and all that stuff. And when you just
Right.
bring that all together, like you're literally imploding the country.
We are.
We are.
So when are we going to stop? Right here and now.
Yeah.
Christine Quinn, win-quinn.com. But literally, I need to raise $4,000 a day
Okay.
until December 31st. So we have a treasure trust, and I am not gonna, I'm not in it for the money. Anyone who knows me, I'm not in it. I don't care. I will sleep on the street, which I did when I wanted to go down to Mexico. We were in Texas, I mean, we were on the street. I don't care. I care about the posterity of America. I care about our civil rights. I care about our freedom. I'm AQ rated with the NRA. Does anyone know what that is? Highest rating you can get for gun safety.
National Rifle Association. Yeah.
Yeah. And I carry a gun. I always have a gun. I have a gun in my car. I have a gun in my nightstand. I have a gun in my office. I have a gun everywhere you go. I got a gun. So I be forewarned.
Yep.
Don't come up behind me because I'm already pretty much trained
Yep.
to pull the gun. Right?
Which is exactly the Democrats. They just have their bodyguards that have guns.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. No one else can have a gun, but let me have my fence and my bodyguards,
Yep.
right, and my protection. But who cares about yours?
It's right for thee, but not for me.
Yeah, but Christine Quinn will protect you. You call me and I'll.
There you go. Yeah, she'll
I
be
don't
there in
have a
RFP.
problem. I have no problem getting in people's faces either. If it's wrong, it's wrong.
Yep.
And I don't have any problem taking criticism either. You guys say, "Hey, Christine shouldn't have done that." I'll man,
That's
I'm
very
so
true.
sorry.
Yeah.
I will. I'll admit when I do it wrong.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's
I didn't
huge.
mean to do it. And I think that if we go to somebody and you apologize, like I broke out at Jason on the boat because it kind of pissed me off. I love Jason. I love him, and I shouldn't have lashed out that way. And I came back to him and I said, "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have lashed. I should have stepped to his side and said, Jason, I don't appreciate you saying that because I'm passionate about what I'm doing, and I felt like you undermined me. And he didn't mean it, but I reacted, right? Because we're in a reactive mode right now. These things are coming at us, and we're reacting to them. We need to start intelligently thinking and coming up with a plan, all of us together. I'll be your voice. Let me be your voice. I got my boots on, and I'm ready to fight. So let me do it, because you can't leave your job. You can't leave your job. So let me do it. But then you guys have to support me, and if that means it's $5 times 10,000 people, we got some money now. Because the billionaires are pouring it into the Democrats. Oh, did we see the new mansion that the little Black Lives Matter girl got?
She got 4, right? 4 of them. Yeah, I saw that.
Right. And really? Because she's a Marxist. I mean, if anyone goes to look her up, she's just using the words. Right? All lives matter. Every life matters. If Black lives matter, then blue lives matter too. I love it. Forgiato blow.
All right, so I know, because I know you're getting tired. You've had a long day. So we'll start wrapping it up. I have 2 more questions, though, before we end. And the first question is, what are the chances we can get Michael Flynn on here? What do you think?
Well, I'm supposed to be going down there Monday and talking to him and give me your card, and I would think you're going to have to go to him. I think he's going to come to Lakeland.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that'd be great. I'd love the interview with him.
I mean, could you wrap some of this stuff out? Do you have a mobile device?
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I can make it work. It'd be fine.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's on the talking circuit right now.
Got it.
He's a great guy, and I mean, you could come meet him and you could ask him in person.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'd be down.
So when we get to one, Jason, I'll get all your contact information.
Cool.
And should have been out there today. He would have talked to you. I would have brought you.
Oh, that'd been cool. Yeah, that'd have been cool.
I introduced him to quite a few people. So he's a wonderful man, and he's very humble, and he's very approachable. You know,
he seems like a really good guy.
We have to be respectful of his time.
Of course,
right?
Of course.
But other than that, he's very responsive, and he wants to meet people, and so he's a great guy.
Very cool. Question
we'll work on that.
Question 2. Where can people find you?
At win-quinn.com is our website. We're going to be updating and bringing it up to speed. On Instagram is Vote Quinn 2020, and then on Facebook, is it Vote Quinn 2020? 2022. Sorry, Vote Quinn 2022. Gosh, I don't know. You guys
on Facebook? I mean, if you search Christine Quinn, you'll definitely find her that way.
You can. And I'm not the lesbian in New York City. That's the liberal.
That was the first person that I saw when I looked you up, and I was like, because I saw a picture, and I was like, that is not her.
That is not me. I have blonde hair, platinum blonde. Yes, and I love men. So let me see. Yeah, at Elect Quinn. So for my. There it is.
The thing's not running. I'll have to put it up. I'll throw it up there for you.
At Elect Quinn. And so anyway, that's how you can find me.
Cool.
But you can always invite me to if you guys have meetings, any of the listening audience, if you have meetings, I'll come and talk.
Cool. That sounds good.
It's always good to sit on a stool and just have like a town hall.
Agreed.
Question and answers, right?
Agreed.
Like this.
Yep.
And then let's come up with solutions.
Yep.
And the solution is we need money. Here's how you win. This is how you win an election. Name recognition. On every shirt, we're going to put Trump on the front, Quinn on the back. People are going to they'll pay for the Trump.
They'll associate the both.
Absolutely.
Well, they're not going to pay for me yet, but they'll pay for the Trump, right? But guess what? When I win, when I become your congresswoman, everyone's going to love having that shirt.
Agreed.
Right?
Yep.
So, it's an investment in the future.
There you go.
And it's an investment into the posterity of America.
That's
so
awesome.
look at it that way. You're making an investment in your future. That's what it is.
Very cool. Well, I appreciate you coming on. It's been an honor meeting you and just hearing everything you've not only been through, but kind of what you believe and where you want to go. And I support you. I think that's great. I think that's good stuff. And so, guys, you know how to find her. We appreciate you guys listening in, and we hope to have you on. Honestly, I could sit here for an hour and just ask you questions, just over and over, because there's just a lot you seem to know. And so I'll definitely have to have you on again. That'd be great.
Right. Yeah,
so
we can talk about the vaccinations. I can go into more detail. I can bring you some literature. You can put it up. We can send you literature. I think people need to be better educated about how dangerous these vaccinations are, because they're GMOs being put in your body that are they're called spike proteins. And do you know what spike protein is?
And how experimental they are too.
Oh. Well, this is why we're starting to get blood clots. Oh, and people are dying. Yeah. If you have not got the vaccination, do not get it. Do not get the vaccination. Your chances are 99.9999% better to not get it and survive. You will survive this corona. It's a man-made manipulated virus. We also have, we have to talk more about the peptides.
Yeah.
And so if you did get this, there are ways to turn that around. There's a natural peptides that you could start taking, get some zinc in you, get some vitamin D in you. Start, if you took this vaccination, you are not safe.
Yeah.
So you need to start to counteract it. And we're going to have to start doing some research on some of the ones, how we can do it. The thymosin, right?
Absolutely.
Alpha 1.
Absolutely.
And the PBC. There's so many things. You know, Suzanne Summers' book is great. Go out and get Suzanne Summers and how she turned it around. They said she was going to die, and she used natural peptides, and look at her now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, a lot. There's a lot. I got to have you back on. I'm
an encyclopedia of information.
Well, thank you guys for listening. Thank you again for coming on, Jason. Always great seeing you. And we will see you guys next time, all right? Love you guys.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye.
That way.